Create WBS, or work breakdown structure, is the fourth of 6 processes in the scope knowledge area. It is the final of the 4 planning processes that are part of scope. What we're doing with Create WBS is creating the scope baseline. Now, the name's a little misleading as far as the process name, because you're tempted to think, oh, we create the work breakdown structure. Yes, and more. The scope baseline is actually made up of 3 things: the WBS, or work breakdown structure, the WBS dictionary, which is basically all the attributes about the specific particular pieces of work that show up in the boxes of the WBS, and then the scope statement, which actually was created in the previous process defined scope. So those 3 things make up the scope baseline: your scope statement, work breakdown structure, and WBS dictionary. So what we're doing here is we're taking our scope management plan and we're using what we've got identified in it as guidance on how to take the requirements documentation and the scope statement and how to apply our friend decomposition to them to hammer those requirements and that description of project work into pieces so we can organize the pieces. It's going to look a lot like an org chart, but instead of people and positions, you're going to have the project, major pieces of the project, major pieces of the major pieces of the project, and ultimately the work breakdown structure is going to stop at the work package level. Work package is kind of like a deliverable, if you will. Further decomposition is going to come in the define activities process, which is actually a schedule video that you'll be able to watch of ours. So technically, decomposition, you usually start breaking it down and you just stop at the activity level, but by the time you get there, you're actually doing the define activity process, not the create WBS process. So think about it like this: create WBS is kind of like decomposition part 1, and you stop at the work package or deliverable level. Then decomposition part 2 is define activities, which gives you activity and milestone lists. So again, coming out of this, we have the scope baseline, which is the scope statement, which was created in the previous process, my work breakdown structure, and my work breakdown structure dictionary, which is all my attributes for those specific pieces of the work breakdown structure. Now, our next process is actually going to be in monitoring and controlling as far as the sequential order of the scope processes. So validate scope is actually going to be where the customer tests the particular deliverables after we believe there's good. So there's a lot of processes that are going to be occurring between create WBS and validate scope, but scope-wise sequential. Create WBS occurs, validate scope is the next scope process up, if you will.